tell you who I am. So my name is Milee Ashwarya, as you know. I'm the publisher of Penguin Random House India. And I'm going to talk about publishing. I'm going to talk about finding our authentic and feminine power, because I believe everybody has a lot of potential within ourselves. It is for us to realize and see the right opportunities and then, fulfill our dreams, I think. So I feel it's really important to recognize that. Before I get into the details and how I found my voice and what I feel others can do to find theirs, I briefly talk about publishing. So we have very high quality literary books. Then we have popular books, which are written in more accessible language for everybody. We have business books. At Penguin we have a very strong business list. Then we have, of course, children's books, and I'm very happy that the children's market in India right now is growing very fast. And a lot of people, like not only kids, but parents are buying books for their children. Then, of course, there's a whole big segment of academic books. You must have seen a lot of books, published to get through certain exams, whether it's UPSC, PO, NDA. So that all comes under the academic category. What are the most popular genres at the moment in the country? What is India reading? What do people want to read? So these are some of the most popular ones, and I think you are also reading some of these kind of books. So it's quite interesting for me to, correlate that. In fiction, people are reading a lot of romance, mythology, thriller, crime. Crime is a big category in India. I think a lot of crime shows do well, but we also have a lot of books on crime in India that readers are liking very much. And then lifestyle. As India is growing and developing and people have more purchasing power, we are spending more on things related to our self-care, our well-being. So a lot of books on diet, exercise, stress, sleep, all those kinds of happiness, they're selling very well. So just to quickly go over the numbers, which I personally find boring, but which is relevant to understand the entire industry, the scope and the size of it. We roughly sell, more than 20 million units of books in a year. These are latest recent data, and the industry is more than 6 billion in size. At the moment, it is growing, about from 13 to 15%. So it differs in different years, but these are the broad sort of numbers. All right. So enough of numbers, and I think the basic sort of world of publishing. Let's get into the world of ideas, voices, and stories. So what I've done here is, I've just put down the names of some of the biggest or the best or the most popular female writers. Toni Morrison left us 2 days back. It's very unfortunate, but one of my favorite authors. I think a lot of people would have read Beloved and seen the films that have been made on her books. Margaret Atwood, she's been writing. She's a legend for, really sort of pushing for the female voice. And she's coming up actually with her new book this fall. So this is going to be very, very interesting. A Handmaid's Tale will get it published, and she's writing after decades. So that is a big publishing event. It's a global event, and everybody is waiting for the book. Michelle Obama, of course, who wrote her book last year, Becoming, and it is a huge, A Handmaid's Tale. Didn't know how it will do in India, because she's been the first lady at US, and she doesn't live in India. But very interestingly, her book is been on the bestseller chart since it was published. So Michelle Obama, and we all realize that it's extremely popular here among schoolgirls to older women to women in all age groups. So this is quite still. If you just go on any bestseller chart, you will find this. If you go to any bookstore, you will see her book very well displayed, because it's still selling very well. And what an incredible lady. I think she's become more busy after the presidency of President Obama got over. She's fighting for issues that she feels strongly about, whether it's education, healthcare, and you know it. So very, very inspiring, and I think determined woman. There are a lot of Indian women here as well, and which of course I'd like to come to now. So we have Shobha Dev, who's been writing for decades. We have a local hero in Mrs. Murthy, Sudha Murthy, who writes, has been writing, and I think she's written more than 50 books now. She writes for children, she writes for adults, she writes all the stories. She writes stories for everybody, and it's extremely popular. Recently, we also had Twinkle Khanna started writing her columns, humorous columns, and has now started writing her books, both non-fiction and fiction. So these are some of the popular writers that I have put down here, and we try and publish as many as we can. But I think it's very, very important for women to write, and these women are doing that and presenting their stories, their ideas, and voicing their mind through it. So in Penguin, we publish a range of books. Fiction, non-fiction, that's why I mentioned all the categories right at the beginning. And they're books written by women, they're books written for women, by women. So I thought I'll just give you a glimpse of, some of the books that women have written recently, which we have published from various genres, and I feel that they're all very diverse and different, and they present a very good sort of selection of what we're trying to do. So I'll actually begin at the bottom. So Kota Neelima actually is one of my favorite authors. This is a fiction, this is a thriller for anybody who likes to read thrillers. It's called The Honest Season, and in this book she has exposed actually the corruption in the country, and a lot of written about a lot of very popular cases, but in a fictionalized form, because some of these are already sort of in courts, etc. So this is a it's being turned into a film very soon, and she's been a political journalist for years, and the job actually to be, just the little that I know, it's quite difficult. You have to be on the ground. She was the lady who broke the Phulan Devi case and found out about the murder, the first person who actually went to the police station, found out about the story, and she's been writing for more than 30 years. Pankaj Bhaduria, you would possibly know by the face, because she's a chef. She was master chef. She was like a school teacher and housewife in Lucknow, and then she decided that this is her calling. And actually, she changed careers sort of very late in life, right? So in the middle of her life journey, she realized that, oh wow, this is my passion. I like cooking, and I really can cook well. And she went and she put her name in MasterChef. She won the competition. She's become a huge brand now, and extremely popular. Her recipes, people rave about her recipes because they're all very practical. You can make it in your homes, and she's made quite a name for herself. Aditi Singhal, and there's very a good reason why I put How to Be a Mathematician here, in the list, because Aditi Singhal is a very unique lady. This is a popular science book. She's an extremely well-selling popular science author, and she just got into it by accident. She had 2 sons, and her husband said that you're too involved in becoming like a helicopter parent, so why don't you find a hobby for yourself? So she thought, okay, let me think what I was good at in college, and she realized she liked mathematics. So she went back to mathematics. She started studying Vedic mathematics, and she's now a Guinness record holder for teaching maximum number of teachers, more than 5,000 teachers. They train teachers, they train students, and she's a best-selling author. She's written several books. She's like a human calculator. She's an expert in mathematics. She's an expert in memory. She's amazing. And if you meet her, she's soft-spoken, you would not think that, she is the author of the book. For some people ask me, okay, is she the author? But amazing story, extremely talented, determined. Whatever she sets her mind to, she becomes the best in that category. And it's very amazing to see her. So like I said, she's not only an expert in mathematics, memory, now she's into meditation. And she not only has learned it herself, she's taught it to a lot of people, kids and teachers across India and the world. Her workshops are done internationally as well. I'll very quickly go over the rest of the books because we do have some time constraints. But Battles in the Mind is written by Anna Chandy, who actually lives in Bangalore. She runs the Live, Love, Life Foundation with Deepika Padukone on depression and mental health. And again, so this book is about her personal story and how she became a therapist and how she found this foundation. Very strong personal story, a woman's story, and how she overcome a lot of odds in her life. Very early on, she was abused as a little child, but she went ahead and she's very, very successful in her career now, and she's written the book. So again, I think sometimes books can also be cathartic. They help you deal with certain things in your life, and you emerge stronger. And of course, she's a very successful professional as well. Sonal Passing, I think you all would have heard about, a legendary artist, and this is a book about her. A lot of people don't know a lot about her journey. but her personal journey has been very, very difficult. Again, she's learned dance not as a child. Later, later in her life, after being married, and she found her career there, and look where she is now. She's again one of those women she's I think in her 80s now, extremely energetic. I happened to be on a plane ride with her, and then she's sitting next to me. She's talking about how she used to play badminton with Justin Thoreau's father. So it's like that generation. She's been there. She's seen a lot of the world changing, and she's still strong and vocal about what she believes in. So Nali Bendre, we published this a couple of years back. She feels very passionate about parenting and the Indian ethos and how we can bring what we have learned from our parents into parenting and also incorporate what are new things happening in the world. So this is the concept she came up with, the modern Gurukul, and we found it really interesting and we published it. Now she's struggling with cancer. As you know, she has a very powerful book club now that she's built, and she's extremely active in the world of books and ideas. So I mean, personally, I've seen her journey. I've known her for the past 4 or 5 years. I find her very, very inspiring, very strong. I've seen her through, the cancer days. Always a smile on her face, always determined, always positive, and ready to go ahead. So this is her, and I thought we should put her here. I spoke about lifestyle a lot, and whenever I travel internationally, women always talk so much about self-care. It is a lot about self-care because they all believe if they are happy, they are physically fit and mentally agile, they can give more, they can do more, not only for themselves, but also for everybody around them. Because as we know, a lot of families revolve around women, whether it is in India, I think much more so in India, but even outside, women are the heart of their families. And so it's very, very important for them to take care of their physical health, their mental health, not ignore themselves, so that they are in a position to do better for themselves and for others. The society needs them. We all need ourselves, and the world needs us too. Arundhati Roy is also quite a legend. She's always been very forthright, very opinionated. She's written about issues that she strongly feels about. And this was a novel that we published a couple of years back, The Mystery of Utmost Happiness. And again, extraordinary woman, will always do what she feels is right and what she believes in. And I find it very, very inspiring. We also do books on feminist themes. So what I have been trying to do as a publisher is to actually publish books not only by women but also on issues that really I think are issues of today and for the future. So we published a book called Feminist Rani by Shelley Chopra and Meghna Pant last year, which had a collection of some women and men as well whom we feel were feminists. I don't think only women are feminists. I think there are a lot of men also, and we have some men in the room. So this is for you. There are also men who are feminists, and feminism is not about this kind of feminism. What they talk in the book is not about bra burning or just hating men. It is about fairness. It is about equality. It is about getting your right, but also acknowledging others' rights. So it is a fair society that we talk about. And I think men are a very integral part of it. I think you can't have a world without men. So feminism exists with men, and that is why very consciously we had a few men in the book as well, in their stories and what they feel about feminism. Legacy is a beautiful book, written by Sudha Menon. So these are, letters written by parents to their daughters, and we're very surprised. We got a lot from Prakash Padukone writing a letter for Deepika, to Chandra Kochar, to a lot of other people writing about, Zia Modi writing about letters to their daughters about what they would like them to be in future, or the things that they have learned in their life journey and they wanted their daughters to also imbibe. So this is a unique kind of a book, and just through letters, sometimes a lot of things we can't argue. Relationships are such that it's difficult to, always express ourselves. Sometimes in person, there are a lot of other, circumstances around it. So I think letter writing is a great art, which we've sort of lost now in the digital age with, Twitter and Facebook and, short messages. But these are very well written, detailed letters. I actually urge all of you to read these, where they have sort of really laid their heart bare and talked to their daughters about life, about the future, what they would like them to do. So the third one actually is a book that we published very recently. It is called Besharaf. and very, very sort of, it's a provocative title, and we wanted this. So this is written by a young woman, Priya, and it talks about all the, it's a non-fiction, it talks about all the stereotypes. It talks about how, unfortunately, you might have seen this or might have encountered this. A lot of times there are women putting down women, women not liking other strong and successful women. Besides the world, I'm not even going out to the world, I'm just talking to our community here. I see a lot of women here. But I've seen this in my life, and she talks about a lot of issues which are very important to women or girls who are growing up, whether it's dating, whether it's relationships, whether it's careers, and then her take on it. But this is something that I feel, you know, I know a lot of men and they are very strong. So the boys club, the infamous boys club actually exists. And men really sort of, they have that camaraderie, they do support each other, they are in touch with each other. I'm talking now more professionally, but I think they have very good networks, they are connected, they pull each other up when the other is in need. I don't see so much happening in the case of women, unfortunately. So this is an area I think that we need to get better at, and that is why I think communities like these are very relevant, because you need to meet more women and you need to have bigger connections, you need to talk to each other, and you need to help each other if the need arises. I think this is very, very important. Oops. Okay, we're back again, back in business. Alright, since I'm talking about everybody's story and everybody's voices, I thought briefly I'll talk about my story, my journey so far. So a lot of people know, you know, I'm a girl from a small town. I grew up in Patna, and that's where, you know, I went for the first time. We're from the same school, and the reason why I'm here, because I felt that I must come and support and be here. So I grew up in Patna, and those were the days where education was very strong in India, and everybody was migrating to bigger cities. Our entire class would migrate to, you know, bigger cities or leave the country, you know, take SATs, go to different countries and study, because there were not a lot of opportunities. The sessions were running very, very late in the colleges. So people felt that there are better opportunities outside, and if you can, you must get out. And that is what I did. So I came to Delhi and I did my graduation in English Literature in Hindu College, and I did my masters from Delhi University and Hindu College subsequently. And I was good at studies, you know. I was at a great time in college. I studied in convent, so it was great to, you know, be in co-ed, and I was very participative. I did theatre, I did public speaking, all of that. And I did quite well at studies, but I was very, very confused. I didn't know what to do after that, because, you know, those were the days when everybody was doing MBAs and people were, you know, getting into advertising, but I was not very keen and not very sure. And it just so happened that one of my friends joined publishing, and he said, wow, you know, this is great, because this is what we do. We read books, we love books, so why don't you try it? Maybe you like it too. And that's how I applied for my first job. I got through, and luckily for me, I actually found my journey, my vocation, my purpose in life, because that is how I see it. It was love at first sight for me, and I've never looked back. I don't know how all these years have, you know, passed on, and, you know, I'm very grateful actually to be where I am, because it's been quite a journey. It's been quite hectic, but it's been very fulfilling at the same time. And like I said, you know, along the way I found my voice. I found things that I was very passionate about, whether it is working women's issues or parenting or children's issues, and whenever I get an opportunity, I speak about them. I also publish books, like, you know, I mentioned briefly, on similar subjects, and I think I'm lucky to be part of a platform that enables that. Because books have a very different force. When we publish celebrities, we publish all kinds of people, which are best people from different industries. Whether they're politicians, people from sports, or actors, or writers, or lawyers. And there have been very different experiences for people. I've had, like, I wouldn't name, like, but I have had, like, big sort of writers coming in crying, and when they get a letter from somebody from Pakistan or South Africa, and little girl here. So it does open doors in various ways, and the power of books, I can't state more, is amazing. It's a totally different world with a very high penetration. You never know who's reading your story, your voice in what part of the world. You don't have to be physically there, but somebody elsewhere is reading what you're writing, and it can change lives. So it's changed my life certainly, and I would encourage all of you to read much more and find your own voice. So now I help people find their voices. So if I feel that anybody has a great story, somebody is doing extraordinary work, whether it's a man or a woman, I feel that they should write on it. Indians don't always, we're not great at getting our IP, and we're not very great at actually sharing our story. I felt that, and that was one of my missions actually when I joined Penguin Random House more than 11 years back, that I wanted more Indians to write, because we had a big international market and we used to distribute all our big international books in India. But I felt, what about Indians? We have so many experts. Forget about writers. We have great voices, but we also have a lot of experts in various fields, but people don't essentially come out and write their book. So, as you all know, people at the top will be very busy. Anybody who's at the top of their field will always be very busy, but they have to recognize that writing a book is important and somehow make time for it. So I think that is what I was trying to do, and I've made a lot, I've really nagged a lot of people. We have a lot of Indian authors writing now, and I feel that things are changing now. What is your story? So with this I'd like to connect, I've talked about my story, but what about your story? Everybody has a story, and how do you find that? I think this is the crux of what I want to say today. It is all about you, it's all about people who are listening to this conversation. It is very important, number one, to find your own voice, your strength. So I think somehow along the line, you have to recognize what are your strengths. What do you like doing, what you are good at. And once you find that, it's an intuitive feeling. You might have, like some people are great singers or great at sports, some people might be good at writing, some people might be good at maths. So you have to understand what is your strength, and then build your life or a career at least around that. That's very important, listening to your voice, recognizing your strength, following your voice. So once you realize, once you recognize, what is it that you're good at, that's not just enough, you have to, follow it. You have to make an effort to be the best at what gift that God has given you, and really follow your voice. Failing and succeeding. So, as you know in life, we all can't succeed all the time. There will be failures, there will be successes, and this is a part of everybody's life. I feel failures teach us more than success, because you really sort of like, when you're down and out, you think very hard about, what you could have done better or what went wrong, and you can get better at what you're doing. So I think failures teach us more, and we published a book also, Why I Failed, which is very popular. It's about the failure stories and what people learn from it, and it's amazing how much you can learn from failures. And if you do, and I'm sure you will succeed, if you are persistent, if you don't give up, you will go on and on, you fight, ultimately, I'm sure that you will succeed. So once you have achieved success and you are on a very clear-cut path, you really have to finish the job. Especially, for women, I think people do sort of leave their jobs in the middle sort of stage. A lot of women opt out when they have kids or for other reasons. But I think it's important to continue doing what you're doing. You can find your own way of, doing that. But I think it's important to sort of like do it in your own way. You might change the format, you might work from home, you might find other ways, but you should do that. The last point is about forging ahead. So this is about the energy. So once you are, successful, you have done something that you really wanted to, you have finished the job, but what next? You have to find a purpose always, and you have to find the next goal and go on and never give up. I feel that we should all work till we are all alive and capable, and I think this is very important. So these are the 5 F's that I felt I would like to talk to you about while you are writing your own stories and telling your own stories in various ways. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.